a world-class photographer, looking for one of the world's rarest animals, the phantom of the forest. How do you photograph a ghost?
That is apparently white. We've yet to see one after 2 weeks of searching. Not getting discouraged, we know they're here.
Here and nowhere else. The Great Bear Rainforest of British Columbia, the world's last big temperate rainforest. Largely isolated here, these black bears have a genetic fluke that no others share. About 1 cub in 10 is born white. They're called spirit bears. Paul Nicklin knows bears. He grew up among the Inuit, where the landscape matches the wildlife. He's made a career of getting close. Paul has a new assignment from National Geographic, getting the most intimate portraits yet taken of a bear that few ever see.
You know, I've come into this area new, fresh. I don't know these bears. I don't know this area. That's the challenge with every assignment.
Princess Royal Island, off the coast of British Columbia, more than 3 times the size of Singapore, without one human soul, and reached only by plane or boat.
I'm Pat Freeney, the skipper of the sailing vessel Nirvana. Been very involved in conservation efforts along this coast, and always happy to volunteer the boat for that kind of work.
Maybe a few hundred spirit bears exist, and Pat's one of the few people who've seen one. To photograph one, Paul needs the right spot. Open space with good light, where a bear would likely show up and pose long enough for a great shot.
I had heard just the year before that there had been a spirit bear working this one section of creek, and it was so hard to get there.
The creek swarms with bear food. Salmon heading upstream to spawn.
Looking for bottlenecks in the river. I'm looking for waterfalls. I'm looking for any major natural obstruction of the river that'll force fish to pool, which give the bears an easier access point to the river to catch fish.
Bear leftovers.
So they're catching fish down and behind this rock. I just sat on the edge of the creek, up above, looking over this incredible scene with these massive trees coming out of the river. And there were these boulders down below that are covered in moss, and they're green and beautiful with sharp, jagged edges. And then all of a sudden, a black bear walked out onto the rocks, and I was just like, wow, this is it. And I thought, all we need now is to get a white bear to do the same thing.
This stakeout will be Paul's office. The key is choosing the best view.
You have to set yourself up for what's the one image that you want to make. You have to draw it in your mind. You have to place the bear in the scene if it does come there. So I was willing to blow off a really obvious spot where I knew the bear was probably going to come to, where I would get a mediocre frame, to gamble and put myself in a situation where if the bear does come into this one little canyon, this one little spot, if he walks through the scene, then I know we have something special.
To improve the odds of getting his shots, Paul scouts other creeks and sets up camera traps. Any animal passing by will activate a sensor and trigger the camera.
What'd you get? Black bear. We've had some cool situations with black bears walking through the camera traps. We even got a wolverine in one of our camera traps, but no spirit bear.
Too bad. Had great hopes for this one.
And we set up eight camera traps in various areas, but the log was the one I wanted. We found this one really beautiful log crossing the river, a nice deep canyon, and we thought it was by far our most promising spot.
A bear highway.
A spirit bear crossing this log in this setting, it could be pure magic. And that'd be a guaranteed double truck, 2-page spread in the magazine, and that's what we dream about. We've had this camera trap left alone here now for the last 6 days. Something triggered 200 pictures. It might have been the rain or the wind, but on one picture, on one single frame, you see in the very, very distance, about 50 feet away on the other side of the river, a little wee ghost. And there can be only one of two things.
Spirit bear.
You think so?
Absolutely. Look at it. Perfect.
You know, it's a little blurry, but look at the head, the big body.
You don't think it's a grizz?
No.
You look at this little ghost white image here. I mean, you see ghost movies and people see, you know, pictures of ghosts, and that's what a ghost looks like, and we were looking for that ghost bear.
Paul sleeps on the Nirvana and commutes to the stakeout.
What time we get up this morning?
5 in the morning. We get up at 5 in the morning every morning. Rain or shine. This is the rain coast, baby.
This is the easy leg of the commute.
In these forests, you have red cedar trees, western red cedar trees, and hemlocks. These trees are, some of them are 200 feet tall and 4 or 5 feet in diameter, so they're falling all over the forest. Just to walk a mile can take 2 hours in this bush, and you get exhausted and cut and tired. You realize this is the bear's domain. This world here is nothing but bear trails. So we're trying to follow the bear trails to go the 2 miles between the ocean and our shooting platform. But it's so tricky to follow because there's just a sea of trails going in every which direction. It's an obstacle course.
The stakeout.
I wiggled in through the forest to try and find this vantage point where I could actually see the creek in case the spirit bear did come out. And the only spot I could find was this rock that was about 2 feet wide, a foot deep, sitting right on the edge of this sort of sloping cliff that went down about 40, 50 feet down to the river.
The Great Bear Rainforest is one of the wettest parts of Canada. It gets more than 4.5 meters of rain and snow a year.
Today it started to pour, and that was where all the water came down as well. I should have figured that out when seeing all the rocks were smooth there. So I sat on this little rock on the edge of a cliff, looking about 30 feet over the river, and you know, you could not move 2 inches either way on this rock, so any slip meant it would mean serious fall. So I just sat there and unfortunately got extremely cold sitting on the same rock for 7 hours in the rain. You need a level of patience that you can't even describe. And the only way that you can have that amount of patience is through being so passionate about the subject that you're photographing and so passionate about the story you want to tell. You're completely uncomfortable, you're starving, you're miserable. None of that matters because you really care about the story. And I was thinking, you know what, we're probably not going to see a white bear, but it's worth sitting here the whole day. And after 5 hours, I looked down the river and I thought something was wrong. And there was like all of a sudden 2 little white trees, vertical trees. And we'd been looking for 2 weeks. And there it was. I was very excited to have finally seen my first bear, but it went way beyond that. The bear worked its way up the opposite riverbank, got to within maybe 50 feet of me, went down, caught some fish, came up. Being in the field costs money, and when you propose a story on something that's as hard to find as a spirit bear, and nobody's finding them, I can't even tell you the relief that I feel right now, having seen this first bear. And I feel good that we may see him again if we sit there and are patient. Here's to our first spirit bears, you guys. Cheers.
Hey, hey.
What a great day.
Let's hear it for the spirit
Hear
bear.
it for the spirit bear.
When I saw the first spirit bear, I had a little chill that ran down my spine.
I did too.
I mean, it really was.
Because I had a waterfall going down my back. That was the chill. Saw him down the creek. Originally, I just saw two little white sticks in here.
Yeah?
And I went, that doesn't look right. I thought. And then they moved. And then all of a sudden, he went behind this big rock and came out right here.
Right there.
We're an emotional species. We love the cute and cuddly and rare. And that's what the spirit bear is. And hopefully by people loving and attaching their emotions to this animal, they'll ultimately care about this habitat. The spirit bear is essential to this story, but it is a much bigger story than that. It is about protecting this habitat. As lush and big as it is very fragile. I mean, we as humans could come in and just knock it down in days.
Paul has seen the threats.
We've come to this site. We're near Hartley Bay. The Queen of the North, a BC ferry, went aground and sunk into 1,000 feet of water just off these rocks. Tragically, 2 people lost their lives in that accident.
Oil companies have tapped a mother lode in Canada and plan to ship it through these waters.
If you think Exxon Valdez was a huge disaster in Alaska, then you can imagine what these massive oil tankers would cause to this area. These oil tankers are a huge threat to this rainforest.
But if I want people to really care about this bear, and if I want them to really care about the habitat, I need to get close, intimate pictures of these bears in their surroundings. That doesn't mean getting just a big telephoto lens on and shooting this headshot of this animal or shooting a full-frame picture. I need to be as close as possible to this animal. Today was the second time we went up this creek to look for the spirit bear, the one we found yesterday for the first time. He came walking up the exact same trail and fed in the exact same place. Then the bear today saw us and totally accepted us and went back to its feeding. It's not bad. I mean, it's not. It's got the fish. It's not the shot I wanted. I missed the ultimate shot. It's only day 2 with our spirit bear. There's hope. We saw 3 other bears today. One is a massive male, the biggest black bear I've ever seen. His paws look more like a polar bear's, where they're dinner plate size.
A male can grow to 150 kilograms, but he's a shy giant.
They're not used to people, and if you just work slowly around them, they'll be very, very tolerant. They're there to feed on the creek. They're not like bears that are around garbage dumps, around cities, that have problem interactions with people in their cabins and homes, breaking into things, killing dogs. I'm completely comfortable around bears just because I've been around bears since I was a kid. I've had grizzly bears come up and actually physically sniff my arm and walk right by me. Just because they're carrying claws and they have big teeth, it doesn't mean they're going to attack you. They don't like to be together. They're solitary animals, so you have the most dominant male that can be on the fishing grounds all the time, but then he goes off to rest, and then through the hierarchy, the other bears come in to feed. And so based on that, we now can figure out probably when this bear is going to be coming in to feed daily.
The feeding schedule is about to be violated.
You know, when we had that first glimpse of the white bear at 10:30 in the morning, it was quite exciting, but he was chased off right away by a big male.
And the big guy won't budge.
I watched him eat 8 salmon today. Those salmon are 15 pounds each. So I watched this black bear eat over 100 pounds of salmon today. And he just is sitting in the pools where the little white bear likes to fish, and he's just dominating the whole fishing ground. He has obviously established himself as the alpha male.
But even alphas get intimidated.
They're really not liking human presence.
Bears have one of the best noses of any animal. Their nasal membrane is 100 times the size of a man's, giving them a sense of smell 7 times stronger than a bloodhound's.
Just sniffing constantly, and then they get nervous. So we can't wear any lotions or anything tomorrow. We got to go in full body odor. I miss the Arctic.
After 8 days of doing this, sitting in the rain for 10-hour days, we've had 5 fleeting glimpses of this bear, and my God. I've been sitting here with my back against a waterfall all day, and my left boot's full of water, and my pants are all wet, and I'm cold, and that's what you got to do to get the pictures. Because I just fell asleep leaning against my tripod on the edge of this 40-foot cliff. And I started to dream that I was falling, and I woke up and my tripod was balancing on 2 legs pushing forward over the cliff, and I had to catch myself. So I decided to put a rope around my waist. You can't take pictures when you're dead. The game plan for tomorrow is, brace yourself for this, is to sit on the same rock for the same amount of time, waiting for the same white bear.
Which way now?
There are 300 bear trails here. And I think we've done this trip 20 times now in the last 10 days, and I can't say we've ever done the exact same way twice. But, so we're about to get creative again. That is the feces from a black bear. A black bear that's been eating salmon. A happy black bear. I was just walking on the trail on the way home from the falls and came across a nice young black bear, just very, very calm energy, and I didn't see it till I was 20 feet away from it. And he didn't even run. He just stopped and he looked at me, and then he did what bears do in a submissive behavior. He looked away, averted eye contact, and just slowly backed away, and we gave him this space.
A perfect encounter with the wrong bear.
When no one is seeing a bear, and you've promised this, and the clock is ticking, and you're burning money, and you're not coming back with any pictures, and it feels like you're not going to get any pictures, it's a sickening feeling. And the only way to calm your nerves in that situation is to work 18 hours a day.
We have some light today, finally, not just dark clouds and rain. I was about to pack up at 2 p.m. and go try a new location on the river. Out of the corner of my eye, there was a shaft of light hitting the river, and I caught a glimpse of the bear. He walked into the maze of rocks and disappeared, and I was like thinking, okay, well, that's unfortunate, you know, that I missed a chance. And then he walked right through the channel where I was hoping he'd come. And there he was right in front of me. I just had to focus, click once, and he looked over at me, and then he took a step towards me. I clicked again, and I got his paw up in the air with the water dripping off it. He took 2 more strides, and I got 2 more images there that are close, tight, intimate, and then he left.
And I quickly looked at my camera, and usually it's blurry, 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 and it was sharp, sharp, sharp. The nails were sharp, the water's coming off the paws, and I was just like, we got it, you know, we got the shot. And a nice light with this spirit bear, just perfect to fill in the frame, nice composition, and there's a habitat all of a sudden that I care about because of this one beautiful white bear that's filled in the scene.
First bath in 3 weeks. Celebrating the spirit bear today. Yeehaw! Yeehaw!
Paul has more cause to celebrate. A gift from a ghost.
And we came back on the last day of the project, and I opened up the camera box, and I started to scroll through it, and then there it was. But what I didn't realize was I was going through the pictures backwards instead of forwards. So as I kept going, I was going his butt shot, and there he was. I realized I was going backwards. I kept scrolling, and then the bear started to turn sideways, and I was like, wow, that's cool. There he is. There's the white bear on our log, daylight, sideways, hit the button again. There he is, turning towards the camera. Next frame, right in the camera. Tack sharp, perfectly lit. And I'm in disbelief. I just sort of started to get all emotional, and I just said, we got it, we got it. And it's very rare in your projects that you get to say those words, we've got it, we've got the shot. And for it to happen on the last day, after 45 days of trying, after 45 days of being miserable, to say, we've got the shot. You don't realize how choked up you are until you start to talk, and it's this big release. It's a cry that I'm proud to cry. I'll cry that cry anytime.
When the vision in your head becomes the lump in your throat, that's photography.
And you've got this image burning bright in your mind, and it might be a scene where it's pouring rain, the river levels are high, a bear walks out of the forest in the rain, and you're shooting that picture knowing that you're shooting your vision. And that's one of the greatest feelings you can have as a wildlife photographer, when it finally all comes together.